Put tape over your webcam. Unplug the smart speaker. Turn off the lights. Now the room feels invisible, but the Wi-Fi router is still filling it with radio waves. Those waves bounce around the room and arrive at a receiver by several paths. When you enter, those paths change. With the right hardware and software, those changes can reveal presence, motion, and sometimes more. No lens, no microphone. And in some setups, even a wall does not stop the measurement. This is Wi-Fi sensing. The technology is real. It is also not the X-ray vision suggested by the headlines. For years, Wi-Fi sensing lived mostly in research papers and demos. Then, in September 2025, the IEEE published 802.11bf, an amendment for wireless LAN sensing. That does not install a people detector on every router overnight. It standardizes mechanisms for coordinated sensing measurements. The goal is modest. Use radio measurements to estimate range, velocity, angle, or motion. That distinction matters. A radio does not understand a person. It records a changing channel. Everything that looks intelligent happens after that measurement. Imagine a transmitter on one side of a room and a receiver on the other. The signal does not follow one clean line. One copy arrives directly. Others reflect from the ceiling, floor, furniture, and walls. They arrive with different delays and phases, then combine. This is multipath propagation. Normally, it is a nuisance that a Wi-Fi link has to survive. For sensing, it becomes the signal. Your body absorbs and reflects radio energy. Move a hand, take a step, or shift in the chair, and path lengths change. Under controlled conditions, even breathing can modulate the channel. The receiver samples those changes over time. It does not capture an image, it captures a pattern. An algorithm then asks which event is most likely to have produced that pattern. That is the first boundary to remember. The measurement is physical. The human-readable result is an inference. The Wi-Fi indicator on a laptop usually exposes RSSI, received signal strength. Think of it as one combined brightness value for the link. If you walk between a laptop and its access point, that value may jump enough to detect coarse motion, but one number throws away most of the structure. Channel state information, CSI, is closer to a texture. Instead of one signal bar, it describes many individual subcarriers, often including amplitude and phase. Stack the measurements over time, and motion leaves shapes in the data. This is why a no special hardware demo and a full sensing claim are different. RuView's Windows tutorial reads quantized RSSI through NetSitch, coarse presence and motion, but no breathing, heart rate, or pose. For CSI, you need hardware and drivers that actually expose it, such as supported ESP32 boards or research network cards. Most consumer laptop APIs do not. Raw CSI is not a clean human signal. It contains timing changes, gain adjustments, interference, moving doors, fans, pets, and every reflection in the room. A sensing pipeline may calibrate an empty room, remove outliers, correct phase, and separate slow and fast variations. It can turn the time series into a heat map, extract features, and feed a classifier. The classifier might output empty, occupied, walking, or fall-like motion. A more ambitious model may estimate a pose or isolate a breathing rhythm. But the room is part of the sensor. Change the antenna, furniture, people, or building, and the pattern changes. A system can score extremely well on its own dataset and still struggle when the domain shifts. So accuracy without the room, hardware, dataset, calibration procedure, and test protocol is not a useful number. Presence and broad motion are easiest because they produce large channel changes. Activity recognition is harder, but researchers have demonstrated through-wall classification with purpose-built ESP32S3 antenna systems. Breathing creates periodic movement. Heart rate-like motion is smaller and easier to bury in noise. Pose estimation needs independent views, good training data, and a model that generalizes to a new body and room. Multiple people make the inverse problem worse. Their reflections overlap, so a clean-looking dashboard can hide an ambiguous measurement. RuView's own proof document contains a valuable negative result. In one audited identity claim, cardiac and respiratory Wi-Fi channels could not reliably separate two people. That is not a failure of science. Publishing the boundary is science, and it exposes the central privacy problem. No camera does not mean anonymous. A system may fail to identify a face and still reveal occupancy, routines, sleep-like inactivity, or changes that resemble health data. RuView is interesting because its argument is visible on GitHub. The README promises presence, activity, vital signs, through-wall sensing, pose, and smart home integrations. It is an impressive catalog, but the first Docker command launches simulated data. A normal laptop gets limited RSSI. The advanced pipeline expects CSI-capable hardware, and several headline features depend on trained models, datasets, geometry, or hardware absent from the basic demo. The project also includes proof.md, grading results as measured, claimed, data-gated, or hardware-gated. That vocabulary tells you what can be reproduced now and what still needs evidence. So RuView should not be presented as a finished Wi-Fi X-ray. Treat it as a fast-moving open laboratory. Clone it, inspect the proof gates, check which data source is active, and never confuse simulated output with a live measurement. Open source makes an experiment auditable. It does not automatically make every claim true. A camera has a frame you can inspect and a lens you can cover. Radio sensing can be ambient. It reveals less detail than video, but can work in darkness, survive visual obstructions, and produce behavioral data without a pixel. This does not mean a stranger can turn any router into a wall scanner. They still need a capable receiver or sensations node, measurement access, a usable signal path, and usually calibration or training data. But the cost and complexity are falling, and sensing is now in the Wi-Fi standards stack. The useful question is no longer simply, can Wi-Fi see me? Ask who controls the receiver, what is inferred, where is the data processed, how long is it retained, and can the people inside the room meaningfully opt out? If there is enough interest, I will get ESP32 hardware, feed RuView real CSI, and compare its dashboard with the raw signal. Then we can see which claims survive an ordinary room. Until then, cover the camera if you want. Just do not confuse no pixels with no surveillance.